Hi, hello. I am Braema. I am a consultant working on research and in capacity building. I'm also president of Marwa, a human rights group, and on the exco of Nimbus, a network of online media practitioners. I'm also a former nominated member of parliament. I was born into a Ceylonese Tamil family. And as we know, culturally it's a tight and small community, and they are very focused on Hinduism and the temple as a bind if they are Hindus, but they're also Ceylonese Tamil Christians and a very small minority group of Muslims. So you grow up firstly knowing that you are a Ceylonese, secondly that you are a Singaporean, and thirdly bound by a lot of what you pick up in school. The best part about my whole upbringing is that how my parents have raised me was to pursue knowledge, read, pick up your languages, be a good student. And sports, okay, if the school has it, then you take on sports, but please come back to studies. The good thing about all of that was that my father was an avid reader of the Straits Times. So when he reads the papers, I remember when I was 9 years old, he threw the papers down on the top of the table and used the word propaganda. And I'm like, what is propaganda? So I asked him, and he explained that big word to me. I'm 9 years old. I don't think I got the whole of it. But later on, as I grew up and understood things better, that word came back. That when people tell you a lot of things, you got to be able to ascertain what of it is real, what of it is like a bit of marketing, a bit of a thesis that they are telling you. So you develop a critical inquiry quite early on. So I'm grateful for that. The other thing is that I went to Catholic schools. And in the Catholic schools, I'm a good person. I listen to what people tell me. Social justice came up within the Catholic teaching. And again, everything was happening at 9 years old. I loved the song of Little Poverello, which is about St. Francis Xavier, missionary who came to our part of the world and worked very hard helping the poor, and feeling that you got to help the poor to be on the same level as you, if not better, and that justice is important and must apply equally to many people. Everything didn't happen when I was 9, of course, but the thoughts are in your head, and as you keep growing, these things keep coming back. And then it becomes like nuclei, and things mold themselves in a web around this. So I found that these two tracks, home and school, were concurrent. And it helped me to embrace a lot of different things in life. Lastly, I didn't come from a background that we were all well-to-do. So the pre-independent to independent years was when my parents got married, etc. We were born much later, one sibling and myself. We grew up with just having enough on the table, no extras. So I think learning how to copeability, resilience, and seeing what people do not have and what people who have, how it can be extended sideways they all became part of your thinking curve. So I think these in a nutshell would be quite the big 3 prongs of my experience in growing up and enjoying seeking information and knowledge. I think that is crucial. Yeah, I grew up with my mother, who went to Jaffna for about some time when trying to go through Ayurvedic treatments or whatever to have children, right? And she came back and narrated stories about what we know today to be like a cross-dresser, a man who cross-dresses. And she always used to say how whenever there was trouble in anybody's home, they would call this person and ask him to do a lot of the work, but behind his back, they would not talk nicely about the person, and they would also bully the person, right? I think she used a Tamil word for it, but I think the equivalent would be like the Hijraj community kind of person. That I remember that forever, the way she told the story. Then when I did literature and William Shakespeare, all his comedies has got people of different fluidity. Gender fluidity is the norm in a lot of his plays. Poetry, I love. The same thing is there. So you're already widening your scope, and I'm very grateful for that because I didn't have fences put around me. I could just walk around. I think while Hinduism is great, that it's actually a philosophy, and it helps us to embrace both people and planet in a beautiful manner if we get to the kernel of Hinduism. I'm right now a docent with the Asian Civilization Museum. I've learned more about Hinduism, Islam, Christianity now than ever before in my life. And I feel that what South Asian communities, if they are not careful, and the Ceylonese Tamil community, is that while that's the religion, the cultural aspect comes in. And in that, the caste system comes up strongly if they still believe in its worth. Perhaps generationally now, maybe the newer generations, we do not believe anymore in the caste system. And I think that is thanks to Singapore and the way we have been growing up within this culture and society. But if the South Asian communities believe that you belong to this caste, your social standing must be kept up to a certain standard for everyone to approve of you, to accept you. The myriad of diverse ways in which people live their lives today, whether it is in marriage, in partnerships, divorced, single parents who have never married, or whether they are having a relationship with someone of the same gender or multiple partners even, all these fall into the bracket of unacceptable, even though there is love in all of them between one generation to another or at the peer level of siblings. So if we keep harping on caste, social status, then I think we have to be very clear in our heads that we are not mixing up what religion is and what we understand culture is. I think some of us do not even do critical analysis on our own understanding of culture. When I went to University of Nottingham, and I was English lit undergrad there, and I got to be good friends with a really handsome looking dude, right? And one day in the library, I just sat next to him, and suddenly he started crying, really bawling his eyes out. And I said, "What happened to you?" He said, "I'm going through a severe breakup with his dentist male partner, married, UK white, British white, dentist, 19 years together." And he said, "We are now talking about separation of our books. That is painful." And he said, "Now, secondly, separation of our pets. Who is going to take which dog?" I've never heard anything like that before, and I just sat next to him while he's crying. The way he's a lit person, the way he's expressing his whole emotional turmoil was laid out for me, and I just listened to it, and I thought, I've heard this from friends who are going through a breakup between a female and a male. I don't see the difference, and I felt this is my wake up moment, that we cannot put it down in any way as being less than anyone else just because your relationship as a woman is with a man. I think that was very good for me, what had happened there. And the guy, today we are still in touch. He's married to another person and it's again another long marriage. You see, I emphasize this because a lot of the propaganda, I used the word propaganda earlier, we have been led to believe that the LGBTQ plus community tends to be at variance with itself, identity, and they are hopping from one partner to another, and that the long-term relationships do not really happen. I think that's a myth. We got to debunk it. And I am very happy to find allies within the LGBTQ plus community as well as the heterosexual community, because what are we talking about at the end of the day? Relationships. And if it is bound and in a beautiful web of love, up and down, it goes up, it goes, I think we have to honor and respect that. And if, let's say, it is a series of having many different relationships, why is that less than how a heterosexual community behaves in itself? There are marriages where people have affairs outside the marriage, where men think, if they are patriarchally oriented, that it is okay, your role is to look after the house and the children. I bring in the money, I will have my other relationships out there. Yeah, I talk about my friends who are from the LGBTQ plus community. In conversations with family, my own family members, I will drop stories so that I widen. We don't have a discussion, I just drop a story, and so that they do know there are different people operating their lives in different ways. Then when there's like an event like Pink Dot or when 377A happen, I tell a wider community. I look for pauses, or I look for thematic discussions in conversations, then I do a link, what we call a link, and then I drop it in. But I don't belabor, do not talk too long about it. Just drop it in, leave it, let it simmer. So that is one thing that I do. The other thing is, like, I've got good friends who are married in other countries and they have beautiful long-term relations. Then I do tell that story to people who make some disparaging remark, then I bring it up and I focus on the love. I focus on how they care so much, not only for each other, but the extended family. In one case, the extended family doesn't even know that the two of them are married, and yet they do so much for them. So I show up spaces for others to start thinking. The last thing that I do is, of course, from the rights perspective, that a person shouldn't be fighting for that kind of recognition. Why? Because you and I, we are the people who can't get our minds and our hearts around it, right? So this is what I do. Sometimes I will say it is hard work, especially when the propaganda that the state has sometimes said in the past, that the Western lot are all like, one deviant lot almost. I generalize here. And then suddenly it crops up. Oh, we from the East, we are not like that, and the West. Then that becomes my trigger, and I will open up the whole thing to say, where do you think we get more sexual crimes from? Is Japan? I name a few countries, and then I say, how do we know? How do you believe that just because the West is more open to different approaches to relationships, therefore it is bad and we are good? And then look at our histories, India's history, China's history, Middle East history. I said many of them, they had eunuchs, Then where do you place all this? Then you cause a little bit of a disruption, and then you leave the scene. I think these kind of Distractions and disruptions are important to shake up mindsets. So the allies, I feel, have to be people without any base of whether you're a heterosexual or part of the diverse community, that you are appreciating what a relationship ought to be, where love resides in that, what is the relationship between the two of us, and how do we build that up. And if in that relationship children are an important component, we got to support that. We cannot discriminate between heterosexual and a diverse community, that who is better to have children. That, I think, is the greatest misnomer, the greatest grievance causing kind of mindset that we have today in Singapore, where we have taken away the 377A, we have repealed it, and then we are not recognizing people from the LGBTQ plus community, that some of them really want to get married and be approved by the state or live in civil partnerships, and some of them want to have children. What right have we got to deny them that? And this is where I am upset, particularly with the state. What is the thinking? When you repeal 377A, you are saying, I do not recognize sodomy anymore as a criminal offense. Sodomy, as we know, is anal penetration. So that means, what are you saying about the LGBTQ plus community? Is that their only expression of a sexual relationship? That is really putting them down. And then you take it away, then you do not recognize relationships, good, honest, pure relationships, and then you're recognizing heterosexual relationships that can be good, pure, and honest, but can also be dishonest and impure. So this is not running parallel. This is actually insulting, and I think we need to take it to task and say that we need to recognize everybody's right to a partnership that will be recognized by the state. So the allies then ought to be people who think like this, and especially our big international private sector companies that are operating here and believe in the DEI principle of diversity, inclusion, and the E, which I've forgotten now, it doesn't want to come to my mind. When you have this kind of a DEI, then therefore this should be the next step, that within the company you need to recognize people's marriages, etc. Our national policies, they are right now currently not on the allyship pattern, but we got to get them there. The growth is here. I'm very impressed by this South Asian Pride Singapore. Volunteer time, masses of time put in to make many others within the South Asian community feel better, feel accepted, feel that you are loved despite all that you are facing. Do not forget that there are people who know what you are going through.